everybody. Welcome back to the reality recap. Today, we have a guest from the show, $1 Million Secret. When I tell you guys, at first, I cut the show on. I was like, let me just put something on so I can pass the time. I sat on this couch and I did not leave until the season was over. I'm so obsessed. If you don't know what the show is about, basically you have a house full of everyday people and they're fighting for $1 million. So there's a box. And the person is a secret millionaire. Nobody knows that it's them unless they give tells to tip off that they are the millionaire. Now, along the way, there are different agendas that the millionaire has to do to either gain an advantage. And if they don't succeed, they will gain a punishment. And then they have activities where the different groups kind of sometimes it's like a game, sometimes it's not. It just depends on the type of activity that day, but that grants them access to the trophy room to get more clues on who the millionaire is. At the end of the day, I actually don't know what the timeline is, but at the end of whatever the timeline is, everyone gets to vote for who they think the secret millionaire is or who they want to eliminate. And whether or not the person is the millionaire, the person who has the most votes gets booted off the show. It was so tense in some of those episodes. There were people crying, there were people yelling, it didn't get like super hectic, super toxic, but you can just feel the tension in the room. I felt it over here through the screen. Definitely a really good watch. I'm so excited to talk to this next guest. Hopefully you guys enjoy this podcast episode. Please, please, please make sure to interact with my guest, with the podcast on all the platforms. Make sure to get in touch with me on Instagram, Reality Recap Pod. And guys, we have a lot to talk about, so let's just get straight into the interview. It is such an honor to be with the one, the only Sydnee Falkner from $1 Million Secret. Sydnee, how are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here right now. I'm fangirling a little bit. I'm such a fan of the podcast. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. This is maybe better than being on $1 Million Secret.
I know that's right. I know that's right. So running quickly through your bio, I do see that you have done a lot of fitness modeling. You also have made a name for yourself in the fashion world. I mean, you come from a rural Alaska town. So how do we go from that to fashion fitness mogul? How does that happen?
Some days I don't even know. For everyone who hasn't done a little bit of a deep dive on me, I did grow up like my town was 500 people. There was no fast food. We were 3 hours away from a Walmart. Like, I'm talking itty bitty, teeny tiny, same kids, first through 12th grade, all 30 of us
Yeah.
in a class. And luckily for me, I mean, it's so funny how when you're young, things like stick out to you, right? And I remember dancing when I was probably in like kindergarten in front of the TV, just like moving and watching myself. And one of my dad's friends, he was like, monkey see, monkey do. But I was like, no, no, this is what I love.
Mm-hmm.
So I did right after I graduated high school. I went up to the oil field,
Oh,
and
okay.
that was not glamorous, but I was in like Carhartts, hard hat, steel-toed boots, like no admin, cushy job for me. It was down and dirty, take things apart and put them back together to make money for school. I do have a lot of family here in Arizona. My grandma is out here. I help take care of her now. And so I was like, I got to get out of this negative 80-degree weather.
Yeah.
Time to go thaw out. And I ended up going out here to ASU. I was not one of the party girls, despite pretending to be a bottle girl. I actually went to school at first for mechanical engineering and then finished with my degree in kinesiology and biomechanics. And I mean, the whole time I loved fashion. So my mom took me to my first runway audition show in Anchorage, 3 hours away for a prom shop. I got to like audition and then I made it. So then she had to keep bringing me back in for practices.
Period.
And I was like, shout out to mom, right? Shout out to Mama Bear, Mama Q. And when I was 18, I flew out to Missouri for America's Next Top Model audition. It was the first time I flew by myself.
Ooh.
And did not make a season, unfortunately, but I did get noticed by like the local news company who was like super excited I went out. And I was an athlete all growing up. You see it when I'm running for my life from that dog.
Yes.
And so fitness has always been one of my passions. And being someone who it's all about mind, body, spirit, right? I really don't care. Not everybody's going to be a size 2. Not
Mhm.
everybody should be. It's not healthy for everyone. And so it's finding out what works for you and makes you feel the most beautiful and healthy and happy with yourself and capitalizing on that. And that's what I want to do for women. So
I
that's a little
absolutely love that. Love that. And what's interesting too is on the show, like you could see that you embody the whole like strength and softness can coexist at the same time. And it seems like people were immediately just threatened, put off. I don't know what the word is, but
Ooh.
why do you think off the bat people are like, nope, can't trust her. Nope, she's a threat. Like what were you giving off? What was that?
So I think it's very interesting. Okay. Um, and I'm good with everybody on the cast. I just want to make that very
Mhm.
clear. But this is nothing new for me. This is something I've dealt with my entire life. And unfortunately, we do judge people right off the bat,
Yep.
especially women, based
Yep.
on their outward appearance, right? So let's be honest, I played into it a little bit. I was like, I'm gonna be the bottle girl and wear the 8-inch heels and like
Yeah.
kind of pretend to just use my looks for things, hopefully to seem unassuming. And that lasted all of 2 episodes before I started
Yes.
chirping and showing, you know what, no, I can actually think there is a brain in here. Um, was that my downfall? Who knows? Probably, I don't think so. I was really happy with it. But and it happened with Lauren where people were like, she's just the Midwest mom. And I was like, no, this girl can play. Does
Yeah.
anybody see how she clocked us for 2 episodes? Like, she is a contender, right? And so y- it's it's just one of those things. And I feel like you probably understand it too. As women, we are immediately judged before
Yep.
we even open our mouths, and
All
then
the
doubly
time.
judged once we do open our mouths.
Mhm. Yeah, no, definitely. So you went in, you were like, I'm determined not to lose. Like that's not an option for me. So clearly your competitive nature was just on show right away, right? And then you had people like Lauren just being like, I don't know. I'm skeptical here. I feel like
Very
this is
funny.
somebody I need to watch out for. And then you said, I'm a bottle girl from Scottsdale. Do you think that started to tip people off like, hold on, just a bottle girl? I feel like this girl has more going for her. Come on, it can't just be that.
Okay, so yes, this is where I got myself in a little bit of trouble, especially when Jamie came back with that dang clue about
Yeah.
lying about the
Lying
fact.
about your job. Yeah.
If I had stayed more middle of the pack, right, and maybe not done as well in some challenges or stayed a little bit quieter,
Mhm.
I think I could have made it work for me. But I think people could have also been like, okay, she's dead weight, get rid of her. So it was kind
Okay.
of walking that fine line. I really did intend on like just playing the part, like kind of, and this is not a diss. The bottle girls I know are some of the best finessers I
Period.
have ever met.
Don't hate the
Like,
player, hate the game.
period. Period. They're getting their money. But it's an outward appearance type of thing, right? It's a stereotype people assume and judge. And so I was just like, "Okay, I can make this work. It'll be fine." And then I start winning challenges, and I'm using my voice, and Jamie comes out with that clue, and I was like, "Huh, I
Okay,
can
so
eat."
when the clue came, why did you then say like, "Okay, well let me just fess up." Because wouldn't that incriminate you more? I was kind of confused by that.
Yes, so yes and no, right?
Okay.
I already knew. People had been trying to get me out, what, 2, 3 times by now?
Yeah.
Nobody bought that I was just a bottle girl, and so my thinking, I'm like, "I have seconds to make this decision. I can either fess up now and get ahead of this and be like, 'Hey, I actually work 2 jobs.'" Try the angle of, "We didn't know what was coming out. None of you guys asked me about anything," which nobody did.
Mhm.
Or there's gonna be conversations behind my back going, "Sydney's for sure not just a bottle girl. She gotta go again." So I was caught between a rock and a hard place, and I tried to do the best that I could do at the time. I knew other people were lying about their profession. There was no way. I clocked Lydia, sneaky poker player. Um, Cara, I still have a hard time believing that that girl
I don't
is
think she
just
only flips burgers.
out like,
No.
please.
Mm-mm.
And Sam for sure. Sam has cop written all over her for sure. Like 5-0.
Yeah. That's real. That's real. So you went in, you initially, well, I saw that you initially aligned with Phil. Were there any other alliances that we didn't get to see or other people who you wished you would align with now watching it back?
So it's actually Sam and I were very close, right? Until she had to go. She was sick that day, so she was out. And people start, kind of chirping about her and how suspicious that is. She did come to me that night. She thought it was Lauren. I ended up voting. They didn't show the first vote. I think the first vote I voted for Sam, and then the second vote I voted for Lauren. But by people had started moving. So Phil and I, we bonded right off the bat from the challenge, even though we thought we were going to be teammates and we had to go against each other.
Mm-hmm.
Plot twist. There's lots of those in this game. And then the whole like Jamie and Chris alliance, I didn't talk to either of them. Like it was not a plan to get Lauren out. It wasn't this big collusion. Jamie and I had our first one-on-one that episode down at the lake. Chris and I didn't even talk until the pool scene, honestly, in episode 4.
Is
So,
it?
yes, yes. There is kind of an energy and you just naturally gravitate or
Yeah.
understand some people, right? And so there's an argument online that I should have tried to befriend Lauren, possibly, but we also had some of those preconceived notions we were seeing that I don't know if she would have wanted to play ball with me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it would be very interesting, if all of us kind of got a little bit of a redo. However, I think I would be the
Yeah.
one voted out of the house if we did get that redo. So I'm happy with how things played out.
Yeah. And it's easy too, as the audience member, to be like, oh, you should have done this because we see the bigger, well,
Yeah,
in some sense, we do see the bigger picture. So it's like, yeah, of course, align with Lauren. We knew that she was the millionaire.
obviously.
Y'all didn't know. So yeah, it's easier said than done. So you and Phil, initially you're like, say young. I don't know. I'm getting a read off of her. And then she has her breakdown. How was the energy in the room? Because for me, I was so conflicted. Like, hold on, wait. She's crying, but also Phil is a little bit charged up. Like, how was the energy in the room?
It was tense. And like, as a woman, I'm very empathetic and I will
Yeah.
be that girl's girl all the way through. It was very interesting, and I couldn't fault Say Young because Phil thought maybe her agenda was getting people to say names in the room or
Mm-hmm.
people that you trust. Well, so he said names in the room. I was already going to nominate Phil because I was like, I'm going to say someone that I don't think is it so we can narrow it down. So Say Young and I were actually on
Oh,
the same
okay,
page with
okay.
that. I just said someone not in the room. So if I had, it would have been interesting to see if they would have, because then she would have had 4 people and we would have known it wasn't her either. Obviously, you know, he was very passionate about things. I don't know if I love how it came across that he was kind of aggressive and angry because that wasn't the feeling that I was getting.
Yeah, I didn't get that either. I just felt like it's a
No,
very tense room right now. Emotions are high, big money is on the line. Sometimes you do feel like, I don't know, I think passionate is the word, like a lot more passionate than you would be on a Tuesday.
for sure, right? And at this
Yeah,
point, we have no phones, we have no TVs. We are just with each other who we can't actually even get to know
exactly.
or trust. Between like these intense challenges, we're all laughing together. We're like, we had some great times as cast members. And then all of a sudden, Peter shows up and interrupts my food and is like, it's time to do another challenge. And we have to start side
Scheming
eyeing
again. Yeah.
everyone again. So it's like, until you're in it, I could quarterback from the couch too.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. So Say Young then kind of threw you under the bus and was like, well, Sydney doesn't want to share information. She didn't want to share her vote. So maybe she should be the suspect. But like you're saying, you can't really trust anybody in there. So you do kind of have to keep a tight lip. How were you balancing, okay, what can I share to make sure that people trust me? But how can I keep enough as like a mystery so that I'm not found out?
And that's really the hard balance, right? Is it's like, okay, you never know what the clue is going to be. So you need to open up to these people, get them to share with you. And that's one thing I didn't want to share my vote because I didn't vote for Harry. And I hadn't thought to lie about it at that point and just say I did. Because I thought it was Sam or Lauren. So I voted for one of them. I'm pretty sure it was Sam on the first round. And then from there, it's like, okay, if I ask more questions, and I say it in a later episode, like, I've asked all of you something about yourself. I've tried to get to know all of you because usually people love to talk about themselves.
That's real. That is natural. That is true.
Yeah,
That is
that's
so true.
part of why I'm doing the podcast, right? Get my side of the story out, and so people can learn about me a little bit more. So, by trying to deflect and ask people about themselves or have them share their experiences or theories, it allowed me to sit back and observe a little bit more rather than feeling like, okay, I can't share this, or I have to be real about this, or I have to keep track of this lie. And at the time, the bottle service was really the only thing that I hadn't been upfront about.
Mhm.
And that one's easy because technically it was omission. I used to do bottle service, like,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So another one of your allies was Chris, but you're saying now that you really didn't speak to him much until that pool scene. I have a little gripe, and I know that you're cool with everybody, so I'm not trying to
let's do
start
it, let's do it, let's do
anything.
it.
But I'm just like, why did this man feel like he control your game like that? Like, hold on, Sydney's doing her own thing. She don't need you. What was that?
Yes, Chris. And it's so funny because we're actually great friends. He came out with Kyle and Jamie afterwards, so we're all good. But my parents will tell you one thing I hate people doing is speaking over me
I'm the
or
same.
speaking for me,
Mhm.
right? And so I did have those moments. I'm sure his influence for sure, talking with Jamie being like, "Hey, I'm still voting for Lauren," or "I'm voting for Phil no matter what. I'm not ready to get Sydney out." That also made other people think, "Okay, we're not getting Sydney out either." Because when I heard my name at that Phil elimination, I was like, "Excuse me?
Yeah.
What are we talking about here right now?"
Yeah.
That made 0 sense to me. But, get out the strong players. I get it. That was part of my reasoning for getting Lauren out. You can't be mad at.
Mhm.
And so as things went on kind of with Chris, there was a moment when he said he voted for Sam. Or he said he voted for me when he voted for Sam. And I went, huh,
Yeah.
this man has maybe just been trying to manipulate me this entire time. And I'm not having that. However, I will say voting Chris out was my $1,000,000 mistake.
Oh, okay.
That was if Chris had stayed in the game, I would have had the numbers on my side as far as my alliances. As soon as he went home, things shifted. If Sam had gone home instead, it would have been Jamie, Chris, me, and then Kyle, Corey, Cara. Kyle, a little bit of a wild card, but he did trust Chris more, and usually we could probably get Corey on board with things. So that changed the tone of the game for me right there.
That's interesting that you say that because I felt like your game-changing moment kind of was when Lauren had it out for your game and was kind of like planting seeds like, "Hey, look at Sydney, look at Sydney, look at Sydney." But you're saying it's now Chris's departure. Don't you think there was already an agenda being placed against you from
Yeah,
before?
there was for sure, and I had enough people on my side when
I was going to
Chris
say, do you really think they were on your side?
more so that they wanted to play the game correctly,
Okay.
wasn't about, like, "Just get Sydney out, just
Okay.
get Sydney out, just get everyone else, just get Sydney out." From Lauren on, which was interesting because there were, other Sam was a fantastic, strong player. That was the one that we should have focused on getting out more. She was just also so good that when the clues pointed to her, she got right in my ear about, Chris is saying this and Chris said this about the police escort. And by that point, I had been kind of rubbed raw by the fact that, Chris said he voted
He
for me.
voted for you. Yeah.
And so I wasn't quite sure what to do. So Lauren for sure started it, but I still think I had a really great shot at winning until Chris got voted off. And then as soon as it came down to the final four, we can talk spoilers, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. As soon as it came down to the final four, they don't show it, but I'm like, if I get paired with Cara and I lose, I'm done. I cannot get paired with her.
Okay.
I cannot. And then I knew immediately that she threw the challenge.
Okay, because I was gonna ask. You were sabotaged twice. Lydia tried to sabotage you. Cara tried to sabotage you. I was like, can she tell? You clocked Lydia, and then I
Yeah,
feel like you clocked Cara a little bit late. But could you tell, like, if I'm partnered with this girl, she's
I
definitely gonna
already
sell
knew.
me down a river. You already knew. Okay.
I already knew. I was surprised they didn't put that in. It was in one of my confessionals. I was like,
Mm,
I cannot get paired with Cara, and if I do, we have to win, period, because
yeah.
otherwise I'm done. And I knew as soon as we lost, because she was just sitting there and I was like, "Move, like, go." And that girl got me zapped so many times. Oh my gosh. I was like, "Tell me where the beam is," because we had
Yeah.
wrapped around our legs, so we were getting buzzed every single time a
Oh,
beam hit us.
okay.
And I was just like, I'm not this bad, like, not to sound arrogant, but, like,
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing here.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was great like, gameplay for her. I wouldn't have wanted to go against me in the final 3 either, let's be honest.
Period.
So, good gameplay for her. She really counted on that alliance that she had, but, those were hard moments.
The moment she got the money, you immediately sensed the change in behavior from her. So, did you know that she was a millionaire? And then, how did it feel that on your way out, she's holding your hand, crying, looking at you like, I love you. I love everybody here. Like, I'm not the. How did that feel?
So, Cara and I were not close, like, you don't even see us really chat, right, until
Okay.
the very, very end. So, we weren't close, not that there was, like, any animosity, we
Yeah.
just didn't naturally gravitate towards each other. But I kept telling I told everyone, I was like, "You guys are not paying attention."
Hmm.
Just assuming that the quiet, innocent ones look at it, it was Sam and Corey's downfall.
Yes.
The end. They let their emotions and their blind trust in a game for $1,000,000 get ahead of them, and so I was like, "I know it's Cara." What I should have done and what I almost did was say I got 2 clues when I went into the trophy room and say, "Beware the quiet ones." And I wish I would've. I'm actually a really bad liar and clearly a bad stunt woman also, um, but very bad liar, and so you can usually tell pretty my dad will be like, "I'll hear one word on the phone, and I can give your mom a thumbs up or thumbs down if you're having a bad day. I
Oh,
don't even have to see your
wow.
face."
First of all, that is beautiful. Let's
Thank you.
just say, wow, love that.
Yeah, so, my parents were kinda like, "How are you gonna do this show? Like,
Hmm.
we're a little iffy about how you're gonna pull this off right now." But I did pretty well, and so I just had this feeling about Cara, and I told Jamie, and I tried telling others. I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember voting for Sam that round. I'm pretty sure I voted Cara because
Okay.
that was the one I was very suspicious with, but I don't know.
So just before that, you had gotten the agenda. Let's talk about your lie. So you came in, you were like, "Yeah, the clue is that the millionaire is somebody who hadn't had it before." I was there like, "No, Sydney girl, why is that the clue? Why would you make that the clue? Please tell me."
And I was watching that back too, and I was like, "That's what I came up with. That doesn't sound right." I was like, "That's the best I could do," when I was already thinking it was Cara. Um, I think, like, there was a little bit of, like, guidance around it, of around what we could or couldn't say, um,
Okay.
if I'm remembering correctly, and even people are like, "Why didn't you tell them about the agendas?" And it's like, I couldn't. Like,
Yeah, well that makes sense.
yeah, you can't say anything like that. And so when I was watching it back, I was like, I'm pretty sure Peter gave me that clue and an agenda, but maybe he didn't. And I just was like trying to come up with some things because it's split second decisions.
Yeah.
But looking back, I'm like, we gotta
I
work
was
on getting
thinking,
more.
girl, there
We
are
gotta
only so many people in the house. Get a clue that narrows it down more than just to
more
6,
than that.
you know?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was a little bit worried because I didn't know if Peter would pop out of thin air and be
Mhm.
like, "Oh, Sydney, did you tell them you didn't get a clue?" and sabotage
That's
me.
real. That's
It'd
real.
be like, "Sydney, you're pack your bags, time to go."
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that Cara knew I had immunity or kind of assumed that when no one had ever gotten anything like that before.
Mm.
So that was very interesting, and even though I am a terrible stunt woman, I still got it, so it worked out for me.
That's right. I was looking at, so when you did the first trip, I believed you. And I knew that you were going to do that. I
That
was like,
one was
oh,
real,
believable.
actually.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I actually caught my toe, like, trying to go down and, like, started to stumble, and then I had a split moment where I was like, "Okay, fall," and then I was like, "I can't fall," like, I panicked, right? It takes
Okay.
over to save yourself,
Yeah.
and then with Sam, I actually fell. I actually did hurt my wrist. The ice and I had to it was a bad fall, and I got hurt, and then he's like, "Are you okay?" And it's so interesting they gave me that agenda. I think it was because I had mentioned, like, "None of you have asked anything about me. None of you
Mm.
care." And so I was trying to think like, okay, for this agenda, could I start crying, right? Like get really upset about something or start to get really emotional and people be like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was like, none of these people care. They're not going to do that. They haven't done that this entire time. So I've been falling a lot. I fell down the ice thing. I off camera, I fell and I scraped my knee up. I have $1 million scar on my knee now. And I was like, "I'll just fall again. It can't be that hard."
Okay.
Clearly, the fake fall
Yeah.
can be that hard.
Yeah, I wasn't quite buying it. But now that you're giving the context of like people genuinely didn't ask you stuff, they probably wouldn't be inclined to be like, oh, are you okay? And like we said at the beginning, you exude this confidence that maybe people would be like, oh, Sydney's fine. Like you don't have
Yeah,
to
if I would've
check on
started
her.
crying, they would've been like, "Agenda."
Yeah. Yeah, that makes
Yep.
sense.
Sydney's showing emotion,
I
which
know.
I'm really such an emotional, animated person, like, I know I have RBF, it's just my face, I'm really nice, but I am my again, my family and friends will tell you, I am so emotional and so passionate and so
Mm.
animated normally, that it was kind of weird seeing it played back or people being like or even seeing comments from fans being like, you know, I think someone was like, "Sydney's dead inside," and I was like,
Oh, wow. Yikes.
"Yeah." I was like,
Oh my
not really,
gosh.
not last I checked."
Yeah. So you said that you said earlier on in the episode that this has been a thing that you have experienced, like it's a theme in your life. How has that been now experiencing it on national TV with people you've never met before? Like it's one thing to be in an isolated situation, but now it's like the internet has thoughts about me and they don't even know who I am.
Do not go on Reddit ever if you are any
Agreed.
type of TV, podcast, musician, anyone.
Mhm.
I did that for when episodes 1 through 3 came out, and girl,
Really? So early on.
Netflix's newest mean girl, the most hated bully girl, peaked in high school, like, horrible
Can I
thing.
interject? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have to interject. There are people who I absolutely have looked at them and was like, mean girl, not just by their aesthetics, but because of how they move. For you, not even being biased, I hadn't seen anything that alluded to mean girl. It's just like you're in a strategy game. You have to strategize. You have to have a little bit of stoicism to you. I think it's it's your appearance. You're a cute girl. They don't know what to do about that.
You said it, not me. Apparently voting Lauren out was extremely controversial, and zero shade to Lauren, amazing millionaire, but if it's you or me, what am I
Absolutely.
gonna do? Like, "Sorry, I'll go home?" Absolutely not. And so I muted and filtered words. My people got nasty on TikTok. I was very surprised. I was like,
Hmm.
I could never be so mean as to go to a random person's page and write, "The world would be better off without you."
Oh my gosh, I'm
Over
so
a
sorry
new
that you were
show.
experiencing that. Yeah, I'm sorry about
But
that.
I'm gonna be honest, I prefer to focus on positivity, and the
Yes.
outreach I have gotten from all over the world, Brazil, Argentina, the Philippines, New Zealand, Australia, Africa, Canada, back home in Alaska, Europe, Italy. The outreach of people saying such positive things or like, "You know what? You made me realize this," or "My daughter watched you and you're her favorite. She wants to be just like you." Why on earth would I think about a negative comment when I have beautiful things like that being said to me? And so I'm being very genuine when I say I do understand what it feels like when people don't see you or it doesn't feel like they care. And for anyone watching, I care. Like, you are not alone. I see you. do not ever, ever feel like your light needs to be dim to make other people feel comfortable. And like that's the one thing I took away from the show, most importantly, is I at first I tried to play small, right? I tried to be quiet. And then I was like, why? They're gonna try to get rid of me no matter what. I might as well be who I am. And so do not let anybody ever try to dim your light because you never know who needs it.
That's so real. That is so real. And you said that on your way out too. You were like, I'm never going to shrink myself again. And you shouldn't. Nobody should, honestly. It
No,
works as a game tactic. We saw it worked for Cara.
it did. It
Um,
did. And I think
but
her personality is just very different from mine, where she is
mhm,
more quiet and introverted and observant and, unassuming a little bit more. If
yeah.
I had tried to do that, it wouldn't have worked for me.
Yeah. Okay, that's real. For the people whose game you feel like were best played, whether or not they actually like made it far, who do you think had the best strategy? Do you think like Lauren coming out about being the millionaire even though she wasn't the millionaire anymore, or Cara playing the low-key game, or some other people who were very vocal, like Phil was vocal, Kyle was vocal sometimes as well. Which strategy do you think was good and maybe like with some tweaking it could have been executed very well?
So I'll start with Lauren. I think Lauren could have done great if she had said, I was a millionaire, and when I asked her what was your first agenda, and she's like, I'm going to keep that.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, you're all in or you're all out. You either take it to your grave or you have to fess up everything because for everyone's like they're mad about lying. Nobody's mad about lying. We all know we are lying. Like everybody, but it is about who you can trust that you trust the least, right?
Mm.
And so I think I phrased that correctly. But if I know right off the bat you are a millionaire, congratulations, you fooled us, and you're still going to keep things secret.
Mhm.
I have no idea who the next millionaire is, and you could be another millionaire again in the future. That doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Sam played a phenomenal game. Like that girl was very strategic. Her kill shot with Lydia, obviously, I loved. Oda. But the way that she went about things and planted seeds and was very kind
Mm.
of strategic and would pivot very quickly, phenomenal game. Loved that. Cara was very unassuming. She was very quiet most of the time. Um, I think that works for some players. I don't think it works for all players.
Yeah.
Chris was very observant. He was actually right about a lot.
Oh, okay.
So, because he had Sam as the millionaire. His mistake, what he should have done is, we had a good rapport. He should have said, Sid, I knew it was Sam. I voted for her. I couldn't say it because I knew she had some type of advantage. I don't know what she has moving forward, but like I need to fess up to you. I would have believed him at that point. But telling me I voted for you just to go along with everyone else, that
Yeah.
that wasn't the move for me or for him to get me back on his side. Um, Corey, shout out Corey for the 911 misdemeanor handcuffs and
That was so good.
so good. Turning that into a clue that
Mhm.
actually helped us. I know Sam probably had a mini heart attack at that point,
Yes.
you know? So I think everybody kind of had their own moments that were really good strategy. Cara, when she lied about her siblings, like that was a split second decision. You can see
So
she paused it.
intuitive. Yeah.
Um, so we all had our moments, I think.
Yeah.
And then now it's for, future things, who knows? Taking what kind of works and maybe tweaking them to be your
Yeah.
own.
No, I hear that for sure. So I know that you would have been on the Brent end of this, right? But when Phil was discovered as the millionaire, there was a debate. Should we get out the for sure millionaire or should we get Sydney out and then keep the millionaire for another vote? I actually think it was a good idea to get you out. Not that I wanted you out, girl. But I'm just like,
No,
that's so smart.
it's funny because yes, that makes sense, right? I
Hmm.
knew I knew Lauren wasn't the millionaire and I wanted her out. So I don't have any I joke with them now. I'm like, y'all are a bunch of haters.
Yeah.
But strategically, for sure. Especially because at that point I had won 3 challenges. I
Hmm.
was a strong competitor. I did have an alliance in the house. 4 challenges. I won 4 challenges at that point, actually.
Period.
Thank you very much. 4 in a row. I can't fault them for the strategy.
Mm.
It obviously didn't work out that way, and this cat with 9 lives had him for a little bit longer.
Mhm.
Um, what we didn't know and what would have been interesting is if they had thought they were keeping Phil as the millionaire, voted me out, and then realized that Phil moved the money.
Mm.
I don't think anybody would have regretted the decision because I was still a strong competitive player,
Yes. Yeah.
you know? And then they knew how Phil acted when he had the money. So if it ever came back to him again, they would be more observant.
Mhm. Was there more sabotaging that was going on? Because I was like, there's no way it's only Lydia and Cara. Like these people are on pins and needles around each other. There had to be a lot more devious play going on that we didn't get to see.
Yes and no. Like I know what was kind of going on with my group, but you never know. Like I didn't know when I was talking with Corey about Chris. Corey went and ran to Chris, right?
Yeah.
And ran there. And then I talk with Corey about Cara, and he runs to Cara immediately. So there's
Mhm.
a lot of that you don't see where it's you're having a conversation with this person and they go run over here and then they tell over here and then they're over here. So they miss out on a lot of that as far as colluding. I know people were like wondering if I threw or was going to throw the challenge with the snake. I'll straight up, I'll never throw a challenge. It is not me. I am so competitive to a fault. The last thing I'm gonna do is lose on purpose. So I get extra mad, obviously, when people do that. I knew I wasn't that bad of a shot at the balloon game. I was like, you got it right there. I also got super frustrated with Cara because she was supposed to be my spotter and she just kind of stood to the side. And I was like, stand behind me or like hand me balloons or like
Mhm.
help me out besides
In
words
some way.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah. That's real. Speaking of throwing, when you were what was that? That yucker yum one? I thought you would be able to stomach that better than you did. You were immediately like, nope, nope, can't do it.
Okay. So the most annoying part of this is I
Okay.
had the cupcake picked. And then I listened to my team go, no, the frosting on that one looks better. And I was like, oh,
Um,
should have gone with my gut. I had it switched in my head. I was like, okay, first bite, this is disgusting.
yeah.
Power through it. It's now savory. It is a savory dish. You can do this. And Corey starts gagging.
Yeah. Yeah. That
I
would
don't
do it
know
for me
about
too.
anybody else, but as soon as I hear that, "Ugh, ugh," when I'm eating, I don't remember if it was blood sausage or hagfish or sardines
I
or
think it was all of
all of
it.
it mixed, whatever, brains, calf brains, and lung and everything else. And I'm trying to wrap my head around that when it looks like a cup. My eyes are telling me it's a cupcake because that's the
Yeah.
other. Eyes are telling you one thing, and your taste buds are like, "You're insane." And then I'm hearing, "Ugh." I was like, I can't do it. I can't. And my thought process was they're already going to know it's disgusting. I'm not going to finish. I'm not putting myself through this knowing they're going to guess it correctly.
That's real. That's
But
real. So was that your
Jamie ate that challenge.
she did
She had
licking
that
ooh.
down.
Yeah. No, she killed that. She killed it. So was that your least favorite activity?
I would say even over the snake, the snake and the food one, I forget more about the food one than I do the snake. The snake, I have a little bit of PTSD, but I think I try to block out the food one because it was so disgusting.
Okay. But as a oh, well, this is also in Alaska. Because I was gonna say you're used to hunting, you're used to being outdoors. Aren't there like garden snakes that you're used to
We don't
seeing
have
or
snakes there. No. It's one of my favorite
yeah.
places. There are no snakes there.
Yeah.
And we used to have like my mom was a teacher growing up. And so one of the science teachers had us watch. It was a garter snake named Zeke. We fed him goldfish. Zeke was chill. He got out of it,
Yeah.
but no big deal. I don't that was when I was probably in like second grade. I don't know when this severely irrational fear came about, but it was they missed 10, 15 minutes of me hysterically crying behind the tree
Oh, wow.
because I was that afraid. And the worst part of this was I picked that seat. They didn't put it in front of me. It was not assigned in any way.
Mm.
They everybody made jokes because 'cause I'm tall, I've got heels on. I'm a very fast walker, so I'm always the
Mhm.
first one down to everything. And I was like, "Fine, I won't sit in the first seat. I'll go sit right in the middle." Like, and it said ball python, and I was, like, counting seats, and I was like, "Phil, switch me.
Oh,
Can you switch me?" And by then, it was too late. "You got a
dang.
hedgehog."
Yeah, I mean, come on, who's scared of that?
I would've touched
Actually,
the
probably
roach.
me.
That's fair. That's fair.
Probably
But I
me,
would've touched
yeah.
the roach over that snake.
Yeah, and it's
Like, and
interesting too
mind
that they didn't sorry, go ahead.
no, 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 go ahead.
I was gonna say it's interesting that they didn't show you, like, having your panic about it because that doesn't really fit the narrative. You're supposed to be the stoic, can't be swayed girl, and then people thought that that was an agenda, like, "Oh, she was scared and then she conquered her fear." I'm like, "Dang, this girl can't do anything right."
That's how I felt. I was like, "Excuse me," like, I just have this challenge here too, because you guys didn't think I was gonna be able to do it. I didn't think I was gonna be able to do it, quite frankly.
Yeah,
So, can I get, like, "Atta
some
girl,"
kinda recognition.
a little bit of something?
That's real. So you said one of your mistakes was voting out Chris. Are there any other regrets where you're like, "Man, if I didn't do that, things would have panned out different for me?"
The Chris one was a big one. Um, maybe if I had kept my mouth shut about Lauren, but again, I think it was only a matter of time. I don't think she would have come for me necessarily that round. And then if I had stayed closer to Sam, I think that would have changed things a little bit more. But again, Sam wasn't going to look at me with motherly instinct. That wasn't gonna happen. She would look at me as they all did. This is a competitor, this is my competition. And I definitely think that that's what helped Cara in the end was people feeling like they needed to take care of her, which they clearly did not because she smoked them too.
Truly, truly. I was looking like, wow, they really love Cara. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's different being in that house. But as soon as I see somebody being super observant, which was Cara's game plan as well, she was looking to see who is taking in a lot of information, who is quiet when that was her own gameplay. I would have immediately been like, no, I suspect you. Whether or not I actually have a true hunch, you're too quiet for me. I
I
cannot trust
wanted her
that.
out a couple times, and
Yeah.
nobody listens to me.
She was the real threat here. I mean, I do feel like you were a threat too. I think you were a really good game player. I think that, like you're saying, you played into some of the things that you knew that people were going to put on you, like some of those tropes, some of those stereotypes. I think you would have smoked these people for real. If it wasn't for that last Cara and you and your
Yeah.
para, I think that was the nail in the coffin.
That was it. I knew that one. Like, as soon as Corey and Sam were teamed up, I was like, "If
I'm
we
out.
win, this is it." And
Yeah.
I can argue as much as I need to, right? But this is it. And so it's funny because even one of my girlfriends, because I'm labeled as the mean girl, I'm the bully. And one of my friends from back home was like, I don't know if anybody realizes that if you were actually one of these mean girls, the house would have been destroyed and, like, collapsed from the inside out. And I was like, "I know, like, that's not how I wanted to come across or be portrayed because that's not who I can be. If you need me to be a villain, I will be the best
$1 million
villain,
is on the line. You'll do what you have to do.
$1,000,000." But that was not villainous.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, that's
I
real.
am getting hats made that say "in my villain era," so I'll send you one.
Please. Oh my
I
gosh, please
will.
do. I love that. So is this your type of game? You do like the strategy playing for money game, or are you like a survivor in the woods type thing, or are you like a Love Island, Love is Blind? Like what is your idea? Like, yes, I would thrive on this show.
Girl, these are my shows. This is
Tell
my bread
me.
and butter. This is my sweet spot. I've actually been asked to be on a couple different dating shows. Temptation Island was the first one.
Hold
There was
on.
another one
Hold
that
on. Pause at Temptation Island. What?
yes. So, backstory,
Please.
and I don't own a TV. I don't watch reality TV. In 2019, because I'm in med sales, I was a product specialist. I was in LA and I got approached being like, you look great. Have you ever thought about reality TV? There's the show Temptation Island. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but putting me on an island somewhere, that sounds fun. I love the beach, right? They liked my backstory. Girl that looks like me, again, stereotype, right? From Alaska, worked in the oil field,
Mm-hmm.
hunting, fishing, hiking, all of that type of stuff. You don't get that from this.
Yeah.
So I also was looking at being on the mole at one season. I was looking at, there was another dating show that was like soccer players or footballers. And then this one came up. I saw one of my casting directors advertise it. And I was like, I can do this for $1 million. Like,
Mm-hmm.
put me in. The Survivor ones, I'm ashamed to say, my dad would be ashamed for me to say this right now. My dad would do so well on that show alone. Like,
Okay.
would live out there for a year by himself.
Oh, wow.
Ben would probably prefer it, in all honesty, away from
Yeah.
everybody, like, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Survivor shows, maybe I would have to reacclimate back to my Alaskan roots a little bit.
You're fully
Do well
Scottsdale
on those.
now.
Yeah, we're a little cityfied. We're a little city.
Okay.
I'm accustomed to a specific lifestyle now, which
That's real.
I'm sorry, but the show, we had cast care. Like, I would open my door and there would be peppermint tea for me in the morning. I would have nothing to do
Wow.
because we'd be in our rooms alone and they'd bring me a new book. Like, I didn't do my own laundry. I had a chef preparing fine dining for me. I almost couldn't function as a human when I came back.
Yeah.
I was like, "No, no, 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 no." So Survivor shows, possibly, but if it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be anything like I know Battle Camp is coming out,
Mm-hmm.
MTV's The Challenge, you have Traitors, you have House of Villains, put me in, The Mole, anything like that for sure. Dating shows, I know it's funny, the fans are like, "She's just trying to be on Perfect Match," and I was like, I think it would have to be the right dating show for me. I'm
Okay.
not trying to have my grandma and grandpa or parents watch me make out with multiple people on
That's
TV,
real. That's real.
you know?
Yeah.
And I, some of my friends, they love those shows. Like, they're obsessed with them, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna have to start watching some, but it would have to be the right one, and I'd probably have to get like written permission from my parents and like
Okay.
connect my grandparents' Netflix for a while
Uh-huh.
because just that might be a little bit much for them.
I don't blame you. The scene is it's crazy out here. The complaints that I'm hearing these days, I'm only just freshly out of the dating scene. It's rough. It's
The
rough.
streets, I'm not built for the streets. The streets are
It's
rough.
mm-mm.
Before the show, I was dating someone. He broke up with me a day and a half before I left for the show.
Oh, wow.
The show was a great distraction. I couldn't have my phone, no
That's
stalking,
real.
scrolling,
Hmm.
anything like that. But yeah, the dating show scene it's definitely different from what I've seen.
That's real. So, if anybody's trying to wonder where can we find Sydney, where can we keep up with her, what kind of coaching event can we attend? Are you even hosting coaching events? I don't know. Tell the people where they can find you.
So I am located in Scottsdale right now. We do have in-person events coming up for yoga, for workouts, for everything like that. But follow my socials. I had to change them because they were complicated.
I did
Uh,
see that, but please, why wouldn't you put your first and last, girl? You know you're
I,
going to be
I
on a
so
show.
I never had it before the show because for work purposes, right? Because I wanted to keep work and personal life separate. So you would Google me and you couldn't find me. And then the show happened and I had to go Sid underscore Liana with Liana underscore, and it just got to be so much. So now you can follow me at Sydney with two E's dot Falkner on TikTok, on Instagram, on my LTK. If you're looking for the diamond dress, it's going to be on there. Um, Pinterest, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm getting a lot of LinkedIn messages, which is kind of odd, but
Yeah, I don't like that, but okay.
it's a little bit weird.
Mhm. Okay. And any upcoming projects that we can look forward to?
So some things are under wraps, which will
Okay,
probably
that's
be
fine.
seen
That's fine.
soon. I will be making my LA debut pretty quickly, actually headed out that way for a red carpet premiere tomorrow. Very
Nice.
excited about that. And I'm really excited to see what other opportunities this show kind of brings.
Lovely. I cannot wait to see you continue to be the reality TV star that you are, because you
Thank you,
are a
thank
star
you.
now. Definitely going to be keeping my eye out. I hope you guys keep your eye out as well. Sydnee, it has been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so, so, so much for coming on the reality recap. Hopefully, we can
Oh,
talk again in the future.
yes, thank you so much. This has been absolutely incredible. I'm so happy to be on this show right now.
Stop, stop. Thank you so much. And we'll talk again
Bye, guys.
soon. Bye.